Thanks again to all of our listeners who have also become supporters. You can find out how at patreon.com/thecyberwire. Zealot uses shadow broker's exploits to install a Monero miner on victim systems. Bitfinex suffers another DDoS attack as Bitcoin valuations remain high. The Triton attack on industrial safety systems shows the risk of mixing control with safety. An exposed database of California voters is investigated. Thales will buy Gemalto. And are you suffering from a social media hangover? Try a little hair of the dog that bit you. And now, a holiday message from our sponsor, Nehemiah Security. 'Twas the night before the board meeting when all through HQ, not a C-level was stirring, even finance was a snooze. Reports were all stacked in the boardroom with care, in hopes that the members would not pull out their hair. The CISO, however, was pacing the ground, mostly because he had no real metrics to sound, and the head of IT, in front of long log reviews, had just settled his brain after full backup number 2. When out of the seam alarms started to fly, they looked at each other and did not know why. Away to the reports they flew like a flash to see which malware showed up as a hash. If only they knew where exploitables lay and could sort them and treat them in an intelligent way. Showing true business impact and real dollars lost, could cyber finally be a justifiable cost? With Nehemiah Security so ready to assist, converting cyber into dollars is impossible to resist. More rapid than eagles, the RQ dashboard it came, instantly upping their cyber risk game. Now dollars, now cents, now recommendations, on threats, on exploits, financial justifications. To the top of the budget the CISO's report flew, smart cyber investments now everyone knew. To hear the rest of the story, visit nehemiahsecurity.com. Major funding for the CyberWire podcast is provided by Cylance. I'm Dave Bittner with your CyberWire summary for Monday, December 18th, 2017. Researchers at F5 Networks report a Monero mining campaign, Zealot, which is exploiting the same Apache Struts vulnerability disclosed in March that was subsequently used to breach Equifax. It's also deploying Eternal Blue and Eternal Synergy, exploits the shadow brokers leaked earlier this year, saying they were taken from NSA. According to F5's research blog, Zealot exploits not only the Apache Struts vulnerability, but also the .NET Nuke vulnerability disclosed back in June. The name Zealot comes from the zip file that holds the Python scripts expressing the shadow broker's exploits, which is itself named after a character in the StarCraft game. Zealot seems to be a multi-stage attack used in campaigns against both Windows and Linux systems. F5 calls the payload highly obfuscated and a sophisticated multi-staged attack with lateral movement capabilities. Unlike other campaigns that use tools the shadow brokers claim to have stolen from NSA, like NotPetya and WannaCry, Zealot is unusual in that it propagates within a network. It delivers its payload on internal networks through web application vulnerabilities. F5 doesn't offer an attribution, but they do say the sophistication they're seeing indicates that Zealot is being run by threat actors who are far more capable than the common run of bot herders. The point of the whole effort appears to be installation of mule malware that mines Monero cryptocurrency, much prized by criminals for its high degree of anonymity. What should you do about it? Patch the vulnerabilities being exploited. There are fixes available for all of them. Alternative currencies continue to receive other criminal attention. Cryptocurrency exchange Bitfinex sustained another large distributed denial of service campaign yesterday, piling on top of the one it suffered last Tuesday. Customers are unhappy that their ability to trade cryptocurrency is impeded, but the good news, such as it is, seems to be that at least their wallets aren't being emptied. The Lazarus Group, widely regarded as a threat actor controlled by the North Korean state, is continuing its pursuit of Bitcoin theft and fraud as a way of redressing the heavily sanctioned country's financial shortfalls. Some researchers report signs of a similar increase in Russian criminals' interests in the cryptocurrency. The alternative currency appears to be attractive in part because of the opportunities it presents for money laundering. Trading of Bitcoin futures on the CME, the largest futures exchange in the world, opened with Bitcoin priced at $20,650. By midday today, there'd been a sell-off, with Bitcoin trading at above $18,500. Most observers seem to think the fall-off represents a temporary blip, certainly not a trend that will probably send criminals in pursuit of other bigger game. Security experts continue to mull the significance of the Triton hack, also called Trisis, that hit a Middle Eastern energy sector industrial plant last week. The attack is generally seen as particularly disturbing in that it was designed to manipulate industrial safety systems. Control Global's Unfettered blog has a number of interesting points to make. First, there are some noteworthy similarities to Stuxnet in apparent goals and approach, not in code or attribution to any particular threat actor. Yet Stuxnet happened 7 years ago, and Triton still came as a surprise to many. Second, according to industrial control system security expert Joe Weiss, who blogs at Control Global, commingling control and safety systems results in a loss of safety. The plant Triton attacked escaped catastrophic damage because it was saved by its, quote, hardwired analog safety systems, end quote. Weiss offered this as a lesson learned from the Triton attack. Quote, there are control system suppliers that provide integrated control and safety systems with no guidance to the end users about the mixing of control and safety. There should be no sharing of sensors, actuators, and or HMIs by safety and non-safety systems, or you have effectively lost safety, end quote. A database of the MongoDB variety of California voters was found exposed online and compromised by attackers late last week. The data appears to have been compiled by some third party, not the state of California, which says the state's systems and data are secure. California is investigating. After turning down an offer from Atos last week, Gemalto has agreed to be acquired by Thales for a reported sum of nearly $4.5 billion, with a B. Thales will roll its own recently reorganized digital business into Gemalto, with that combined business keeping the Gemalto name. The acquisition is said by the Financial Times to create a top 3 digital security player. The purchase is expected to close in the second half of 2018. And finally, do you find yourself just passively consuming social media content? Click, scroll, 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 click, 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 like that? There's research out from several sources, including the University of California, San Diego, and Yale, that suggests social media may impair mental health. It seems that Facebook and so forth can lead to, as the Times of London puts it, depression, low self-esteem, and feelings of isolation, particularly among the young. Thus, your tween child seems a dull dog. And why? Because the kid down the block is Facebooking away from Disney World, while your child is still stuck in Rosada or Nutley or Overland Park or Smethwick or wherever. And so your child might suffer low moods. Facebook has begun to engage with this research. The company's director of research commented, quote, in general, when people spend a lot of time passively consuming information, reading but not interacting with people, they report feeling worse afterward, end quote. But there's hope. Sure, maybe just reading Facebook may impair mental health, but you don't have to just read. That's for chumps anyway. You should post and talk more on, wait for it, Facebook. So maybe take a little of the hair of the dog that bit you, friends. Now I'd like to tell you about some season's greetings from our sponsor, Cylance. Crime never sleeps and black hats don't take a break for holiday cheer, so Cylance has come up with their own 12 days of Hacksmas. On the first day of Hacksmas, my black hat sent to me a 0 day in an SMB. And you don't want one of those. Nope, 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 nope. You'd even prefer soap on a rope. We'll share the rest of them with you one at a time. You'll find them all at Cylance.com. Look for their blog and check out their 12 days of Hacksmas. That's Cylance, and we thank them for sponsoring the Cyberwire. Go to Cylance not only for a Merry Christmas wish, but for cybersecurity that predicts, prevents, and protects. And we thank Cylance for sponsoring our show. And I'm pleased to be joined once again by Johannes Ulrich. He's from the SANS Technology Institute, and he's also the host of the ISC Stormcast podcast. Johannes, welcome back. When we have natural disasters here in the United States, FEMA comes in and they provide important assistance, but sometimes the bad guys take advantage of that help.
Yes, and this is something that sort of came to my attention living in Jacksonville, Florida, which was affected by some of these recent storms. And apparently what's happening is there is all this information out there from various data breaches, whether it's Equifax or others, that essentially include your name, your address, your social security number, your phone number, and basic identifying information like this. Turns out that's all you need to file a claim with FEMA. So in the past, what we have seen, for example, after natural disasters is simple donation scams where someone set up a website claiming to be a charity, asking for donations. But we don't really see that as much anymore. I think people got a little bit wiser about this and less likely going to fall for it. Also, law enforcement got pretty active in trying to shut down these sites. On the other hand, we have this flood of personal information that the bad guys now are trying to monetize. In the past, they have filed fake tax returns, for example. But what's new now is these FEMA claims. And essentially, FEMA, the way it works is it's a little bit an honor system here. FEMA tries to get the money to the individuals as quickly as possible. Right. So quite often when you file a claim, you get the money before FEMA really has a chance to look at all the details. They give you the money and then follow up with you later, whether or not this was fraudulent or not. And that's, of course, a real problem if someone files a claim on your behalf using your personal information without you ever being affected and filing a claim. So now this claim becomes fraudulent and you're the victim twice here. First of all, your personal information was stolen, but now you also have to prove that you didn't file that claim.
And I suppose if the bad folks file a claim on your behalf before you do, and then you go to file a legitimate complaint, that'll get in the way of you getting the money that you really need.
Correct. That, for example, has happened with tax returns, where you file your tax return and the IRS tells you, hey, you already filed one, so you can't file two. That's a simple check they can do. And similar things, of course, are going to happen with FEMA, where your legitimate claim is being held up because of the fraudulent claim. Also, of course, FEMA, on the other hand, has to be more careful now. And I believe in particular in Puerto Rico, for example, that has caused delays in processing of claims because some of the information, the address or so, wasn't quite correct with what FEMA had, because they're trying now to be more careful. But that's the real difficult balance they have to find. How quickly are they going to hand the money to people that really need it? And how careful are they going to be in actually checking these claims when they're submitted?
Yeah, it's a real shame, taking advantage of people when they're at their worst and when they need help the most.
Yeah.
All right, Johannes Ulrich, thanks for joining us. And that's the Cyberwire. Thanks to all of our sponsors for making the Cyberwire possible, especially to our sustaining sponsor, Cylance. To find out how Cylance can help protect you using artificial intelligence, check out Cylance.com. The Cyberwire podcast is proudly produced in Maryland out of the startup studios of Data Tribe, where they're co-building the next generation of cybersecurity teams and technology. Don't forget that I'm part of a security segment on the Grumpy Old Geeks podcast. You can find that wherever all the fine podcasts are hosted. And also, don't forget to check out the Recorded Future podcast. That's another one that I host. The topic over there is threat intelligence. We think it's worth your time, so check that one out as well. Our show is produced by Pratt Street Media. Our editor is John Petrick. Social media editor is Jennifer Iben. Technical editor is Chris Russell. Executive editor is Peter Kilpie. And I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening.